Hey first graders! Last week we read Mr. Putter and Tabby Dropped the Ball, and we met Mr. Putter and some of the other characters in the story, like Tabby Cat and Mrs. Peaberry. Today I want to teach you that it's also important to keep track of where and when the story is happening. You see, every story is an adventure that you get to go on, and you don't want to get left behind. So we're going to look at where and when. The where might be on the school bus, at the park, in the kitchen, and the when might be during the day, at night, on Saturday. It always changes. They don't just stay in the same place throughout the whole book. They're usually going to go somewhere else, and it's going to be at different times. Okay, so let's practice this together with Mr. Putter and Tabby Drop the Ball. Okay, let's go back to the first chapter and see where this story started. So here's chapter 1, and let's start right here. Just by looking at the picture and maybe reading some of the words, where do you think this story started? You might have said in Mr. Putter's house. If we look at the picture, it does look like his house. Let's look at the words. He headed to the basement. Okay, so it looks like it is in his house, but it's also in his basement, which is the floor underneath his house. Okay, so I'm gonna get my story map here. And the first box is where the story started. So I'm going to write Mr. Putter's basement. Okay, and I might draw a little picture here, maybe some steps. Okay. All right. So let's start reading where we left off from last week, which is chapter 3. And let's see if the where and when changes. Okay. Mrs. Teaberry and Zeke arrived in their baseball clothes. "Let's go," said Mrs. Teaberry. They all drove to the ball field. Okay, I'm gonna stop right here. Where did the story change? Did you say they went to the ball field? You're right. They went from Mr. Putter's house and they traveled to the ball field. So I'm gonna write ball field here. Ball field is another word for baseball field. So I might draw some grass, okay, and the little gates. Okay. Okay, so as I keep reading Mr. Putter and Tabby, I'm going to keep track of where and when the story changes so that I don't get left behind. And today I'm going to use my story map to keep track. You don't always have to use a story map, but sometimes it helps. And this week, first grade teachers have included a story map in your packet. So get this out, pick a book, and go ahead and keep track of where and when the story changes. Go ahead and send us a picture. We can't wait to see.